Hi guys, so Lee Anderson used to be a member of the Labour Party. Today he's a Conservative MP. Now he's going to criticise the Labour Party. This was a few days ago in Parliament. He's going to call them hypocrites and he's going to suggest that they've never worked a day in their life and for that reason that they don't understand workers' rights. Now, unfortunately for Lee Anderson, I will have to hold up a mirror to him and show him to be a hypocrite as well. So let's hear what he had to say.
Video link. Lee Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Now, for the Labour Party to decide upon our employment rights, then first of all, they need to win a general election. And the good news is the British working classes will not allow that. They do not trust them. The United Kingdom has one of the best records on workers' rights anywhere in the world.
Really? Do you have some evidence to support that hypothesis?
But of course, the Labour Party are still bitter about us leaving the EU and do not think that our elected MPs should have the power to decide what rules should apply in the UK.
Sorry, what? So he believes that people who... Okay, it's a bit of a blanket statement to say that the Labour Party are bitter about leaving the EU. There are Brexiteers within the Labour Party. You know, Jeremy Corbyn wanted to leave the European Union. So... you know, you can't just say everyone in the Labour Party is bitter. Anyway, even if that was the case, how can you jump from someone who wants to remain in the European Union to the Labour Party don't want to create rules or don't want to be able to create laws? Why does he believe the Labour Party want to get into power? Isn't it to create laws? I don't know what planet he's living on, but he seems to think that the Labour Party want to win power in order to do what? To do nothing?
It's the policies of the Labour Party that threatens workers' pay and conditions. They want to keep people on benefits and flood the workplace with cheap labour through free movement.
Okay, so we have the racist dog whistle here, the idea that the Labour Party want to have free movement. That means allowing all the bad people, quote unquote, into the country to drive down wages. But that's not really the case. You know, there isn't really any evidence to support that claim. In reality, if there has been any drop in wages, it's because, well, British people don't want to do a lot of this work. So they end up having to hire people from abroad. We've seen the scenario where British farmers had to bring people in from Romania to pick fruit because British people didn't want to do that work. That work is generally low paid, but that's not because of freedom of movement. And he seems to forget as well that freedom of movement is two ways. He voted to take freedom of movement away from British people, so now that they can't travel to the European Union freely and live and work there.
How does that help the British worker? It doesn't. Our new business secretary has been very clear. We are not going to lower the standards of workers' rights. Why would we?
Exactly. Why would the Conservative Party want to reduce workers' rights? You know, I can't think of any situation where a Tory MP would vote to take away people's rights. Well, actually, yes, I can. Here is, I'll leave a link, of course, to these in the description of the video. This is European Union Withdrawal Agreement Bill Clause 2, protecting workers' rights. The majority of MPs voted against maintaining workers' rights derived from the European Union and against continuing to give workers at least the same level of protection as provided within the Union, even after the UK's withdrawal from the Union. And how did people vote on this? Well, you can see here the Conservative Party voted as in a majority no. There was not one rebellion within the Conservative Party, so Lee Anderson voted for this. Well, here's another example. This is a trade bill, new clause 17, international trade agreements, protection of NHS, the health and care sector, and public sector workers. And I just want to read part B here. It says, to protect the employment rights or terms and conditions of employment for public sector employees and those working in publicly funded health or care sections. And how do you think Lee Anderson voted on this? Well, he voted against it. You can see here, no Tory MPs voted for it. So when Lee Anderson says that he cares about workers' rights, he's really talking out of his backside.
It makes no sense at all. Even the Mayor of London, who gets most things wrong, gets it when he said there's no evidence to Labour's claims that workers' rights would be eroded after Brexit.
Sorry, can you present some evidence that he actually said that? I find it extremely strange that Sidi Khan said that workers' rights would not be damaged by Brexit.
But I think we should always look at strengthening employment rights, especially when you see some workers being exploited by people who, quite frankly, should know better. So let's start with the Labour Party. I recall in 2015, during the election, security guards at Labour's offices were being paid less than the living wage, despite the Labour Party being an accredited living wage employer.
So what did you do? So if you saw something wrong taking place, did you report it to the authorities? Did you contact the Labour Party headquarters and say, look, these people are being exploited? Or did you do nothing? If you did nothing, why did you do nothing? And if you did nothing, why are you complaining about it now? Doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm not quite sure, actually, who the Labour Party leader was at this time, but maybe the business secretary could remind the House when summing up. We could have a look in 2018 when 4 Labour front benchers were advertising jobs in their own offices below their own £10 an hour living wage pledge.
And this is actually something that seems to be quite common in the House of Commons. I've seen Conservative Party members doing the same thing, where they would advertise a job. And I saw one recently where the payment was something like £4 an hour, or even less than £3 an hour, or something like that, for 30 hours a week. So the Labour Party, if the Labour Party are doing it, that's wrong. If the Conservative Party are doing it, that's wrong. If the SNP are doing it, that's wrong. Everyone should be called out if they're doing it. He seems to be more concerned about when the Labour Party do it. He doesn't seem to be concerned with the actual act. He seems to be more concerned with who's doing the act.
It's total hypocrisy. They say one thing and they do another. They say they are against private schools, yet send their own kids to private schools.
What do you mean they say? Look, I'm not trying to be difficult here, but who are they? Do they mean the party? Is it a party policy to end private schools? Because I don't think that's the case. And if he's talking about individual MPs, then if individual MPs are saying that they're against private schools but still sending their kids to private schools, that's a problem. But not all Labour MPs who have kids are sending them to private schools. So who is he complaining about?
They say they want to see better workers' rights, yet fail their own employees.
So they want better workers' rights. Yeah, well, they voted. Like, you know, I actually hold people to account according to their vote. So the Labour Party voted as a majority to protect workers' rights in this case. And in this case about the NHS and care staff, they voted as a majority. The entire party voted to protect these rights, while the absolute majority, there was not even a majority, the complete party, everyone within the Conservative Party voted against this. So you can't really criticise the Labour Party here. Have there been some cases where maybe they paid people less than minimum wage? Probably. Then why the hell didn't you highlight it at the time?
In a nutshell, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have some of the best protections in the world, and I am confident that this government will go much further.
Some of the best protections in the world. I thought you said that they were the best protections in the world. Let me just double check what he said here.
Employees. In a nutshell, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have some of the best protections in the world.
No, maybe he misspoke here, because at the beginning he said we have the best protections. Now he's saying we have some of the best protections.
And I am confident that this government will go much further. Meanwhile, I predict the Labour Party will slide much further back as the real workers in this country are sick to death of hearing them moaning all the time. Now, I've done my time, done my graft, done my shifts down the pits, but what do they really know about workers' rights? Absolutely nothing, because most of them have never done a proper day's work in their lives. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
So somebody who has done a quote-unquote a working day in his life believes that workers don't deserve better conditions or don't deserve to be protected, because never mind what he says in Parliament, look at his voting record. So he's saying that because I worked a day in my life, I understand workers' rights. These people who, quote unquote, have never worked a day in their life don't understand it, but they voted to protect these working rights. That doesn't make any sense to me, unless you're a hypocrite. I think it's very important, and I don't mean this in any bad way at all. I really don't like saying this, but I fear that because he sounds working class, he's able to communicate better to the working class, or the working class listen to him because he sounds working. Look, I'm not British, excuse me, and I don't know him very well. I don't know what part of the country he's from, but I get the impression that his accent sounds more working class than, for example, Jacob Rees-Mogg. So I think it's dangerous that someone who sounds working class gives the impression that he cares about the working class, when in reality he doesn't give a crap about the working class. And if he wants to respond to me and say, how dare you say that, well, I'll hold up the mirror of his voting record, because he has voted against the working class. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?